the city. What's going on, St. Louis City fans? My name is Riley, and this is Soul of the City, brought to you by First Touch Media. I am here today with Ian Comerford and Jonah Finley. You guys are already familiar with these two fine gentlemen. And today, it is a beautiful day. It is Saturday the 25th, and St. Louis City has just defeated Austin 3-2 in a long battle. Guys, what did we think of it?
Yeah, I mean, everyone had us to lose this first game, and it just feels really good to get a victory in spite of what everyone said was going to happen. Yeah, I mean, we definitely looked scared, but we had some moments of good possession, so I liked what we saw.
Yeah, it was impressive, and I don't know, just impressive because you didn't really expect that coming into the first game of the season at all.
The MLS and everybody who participates doubted St. Louis. I know that I've seen infographics where St. Louis City was not even mentioned in terms of playoff
odds
contention.
to win,
Nothing.
Yeah,
Not even on the radar
no
whatsoever.
odds.
That was
And
for
to
the
come
MLS
in
Cup, right?
to come in the inaugural game of St. Louis City and to beat Austin, who finished second in the West in 2022. I mean, that's pretty bonkers.
No,
huge.
it was insane game, and in terms of our play style, it looks to be a great
Exactly
season
what they
coming up.
said it was going to be.
Yeah,
Like
an effective way to play. That's what it looks
we
like.
saw the high press. I think we saw a lot of link-up play. I think while it was unpolished, I think it looked good.
Yeah.
I will say maybe some more match fitness could be used. We were definitely looking like we were tired for parts of the game, especially right before half and maybe 60, 70th minute. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I kind of wanted to walk through the game because for the first 10, maybe even probably about 10, 15 minutes, we looked antsy, very unsettled, very nervous, very almost ill-prepared, which we didn't think was going to happen because we had 3 years to set up this team, and the team obviously hasn't been together for 3 years.
Yeah.
But we've
been working on it.
Yeah.
Well, I think one other factor in those first 10 minutes of the game that I think totally changed the pace of the game, totally changed the outcome, was Indiana Vasilev instantly coming off. It looked like his nose was broken in that play.
Yeah, that was an ugly sight.
So we're
for sure.
hoping for a quick recovery on his end, but we need to talk about the player who came on for him.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and Jablou Blom, I mean, I think he was my player of the game. He was just all over the pitch, winning tackles, making the ball, holding onto the ball under pressure. It was just he was amazing.
He was incredible.
Yeah. Vasilev got injured in the 14th minute.
14th.
And from then on, it was a totally different game.
Yep.
The amount of tackles and possession that we retained just because of Blom was insane.
He was so calm in the role. He came on off the bench and was calm, cool, collected, and made the tackles that he needed to make. It was really great to see him come on and perform well.
I'm kind of intrigued to hear in some kind of post-game press conference with Carnell what his reasoning was for not starting him, considering how well he played, because for some statistics, he played 73 minutes. In those 73 minutes, he had a 94% pass accuracy with 2 key passes and only 1 tackle. And we don't have interception statistics, but I would imagine that that's also very high. But his press resistance was insane. Just being able to weave in and out in tight spaces between players and play it back to a center back when it needed to be done was
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was fun to watch. So that was my, you said 14th minute. So, I mean, that was early on into the game, and Blom came on and really changed what I think ended up to be the outcome. So,
Yep. And then not too long after that, there was the first goal, which came from a corner.
Yep. Loven to Tim
Parker. Yep.
Yeah.
First goal of the season. And, I mean, that play looked like it was drawn up just for him. He was wide open, middle of the box, and he just nodded
stuffs
it
the
home.
header away.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And that was absolutely from the training ground. You could see that it was drawn up for him to be running dead at the goalie from the penalty spot.
Yeah, they crowd. I'm pretty sure on that play they crowded the goalie and had a couple runners running into the box. So that was a training piece from the training ground. For sure.
It looked like they crowded the near post to allow him to kind of run off of a group of players and then run onto the penalty spot. And to be fair, it's definitely a failure on their goalkeeper's part not to punch the ball, but Tim Parker.
Honestly, I
getting
think
his
Parker
goal.
just got to it first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 50-50, I guess, but
Great ball, great first goal for St. Louis City.
Absolutely.
yeah.
And that totally changed the game. Settled
Yep.
everyone down. All the nerves gone.
There was one moment, I think it was around the 25th minute, where I think the players kind of all looked around at each other. There was an opportunity to look forward and make a pass forward, but why do that when you're 1-0 up and they're not even on you? Why not play the ball backwards? And you could hear the frustration from the Austin crowd instantly, and that felt pretty good.
Yeah, they were booing and whistling and everything, just because we had the ball for at least like 5 minutes. It felt like.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were definitely
Dominating the first half, definitely. After Blum, I think we dominated the first half.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right until the last few minutes of the first half when they conceded. You guys want to walk through that goal?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just total miscommunication between, I believe it was Nelson
Nelson on the left.
Hebert, yeah. And two runners in behind, one splits Nelson and Hebert after the guy tries to make the overlapping run from Nelson. And Berkey, I'm not going to lie, he looked great until that point.
Mm-hmm.
Really strong on corners, coming out, grabbing the ball with confidence, but just caught in no man's land.
Yeah, it looked like he came out at first, and then Nelson cut across, and Berkey didn't really know what to do. He
showed a few nerves. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
First game in the MLS. First competitive game, I guess. If you don't count the next pro league in I guess 2 years.
Yeah.
So
I mean the atmosphere there at Austin. I think. I mean, props to those Austin fans. I mean, their wall, their supporter section looked. I mean,
intimidating.
It was intimidating. I mean,
and while
large men with their shirts off, like it was.
The Apple TV.
Oh my
They were
gosh.
focusing on
some interesting
lookers.
characters,
Some lookers.
undoubtedly.
fans. The touch and finish though, even though Berkey was caught in no man's land, that was
And he was
He's still
goal.
the attacker had a lot to do. Yeah.
number 10. He was the top scorer for the
UFC.
entire MLS last year. I
22
mean,
goals, 7 assists. I
he
believe.
showed great class in his finishing in that.
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So props to him for scoring. Maybe could have done better, but that's okay. We conceded a goal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happens.
worked out.
We were
Yeah.
expecting that. We were anticipating that.
And that would be the only thing that I would fault Hebert for in this game in terms of his defensive performance. I thought he was fantastic, stepping up exactly when he needed to cover for defenders or defensive midfielders like Blom, who missed a runner. He looked great. Tim Parker looked great. I would say our whole defensive line, besides Nerwinski, looked great.
Yeah. I don't have too much of a problem with Nerwinski. Obviously, he kind of got burned on the second goal that Austin had.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, Hebert, if Blom wasn't in, I would give him man of the match just for the first half performance, honestly.
Yeah.
He was everywhere. He was blocking shots. He was making tackles, just these acrobatic clearances.
He looked good.
He was everywhere.
The center back partnership, I think, looked really clean. I think with Blum standing in front of them as well, that little triangle, that little center of the park, I think looked solid. I think it looked really good.
Yep.
It did look good. And up until the half, I thought that we were pressing extremely hard and looked up for the task of pressing that hard. A lot of times just getting to someone at the last second and almost making a tackle that would have won us the ball back in their third and sprung the counterattack almost instantly. But the FIFA gods weren't on our side today.
Not today.
Unlucky
we
bounces.
didn't get the ball.
Got some unlucky bounces. We did get some lucky stuff in the second half as well, which I think
But
we're
overall in the first half deserved to be leading. Other than one moment of weakness, I think we were up 8 shots, 5 on target to their 3 shots, 1 on target, and the 1 shot that they had on target was the goal.
was an incredible, crazy
insane.
finish. Yeah, definite domination in the first half. So I would feel ready to move on to the second half. You guys feel like we covered just about everything? Any other key moments you guys can think of?
Osterach did get a yellow card for a weak little foul in transition, which, if you call the foul there, I feel like you have to give the yellow, but I think the Austin player flopped. So
yeah, you're gonna have that happen though. If you're in transition, you kind of run into someone a little bit. They're just gonna go down.
Yeah, I think he had a second foul in that first half that we all kind of raised our eyebrows and were like, "Bro, you're on a yellow card."
Yellow, yeah. Relax, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, yeah, I don't have anything else for that
First half.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming out into the second half, you want to see the same performance in terms of, I guess, domination from a pressing standpoint and a possession standpoint. But obviously, they scored a goal, brought it back to 0-0 or 1-1, and you got to go in on level terms. Come out, and for a large period of time, we looked second best by quite a bit as well.
From the jump in the second half.
Yeah, Austin definitely made some tactical adjustments. They kind of started pressing a little bit higher, not allowing us to build from the back and through the midfield as we kind of were in the first half. And I mean, yeah, we just couldn't connect anything. We couldn't get it out of our half. There are some times where our defending even looked, super sloppy because we would just lose the ball and then they would just dribble through all of our defenders and shoot it.
Right.
There were quite a few moments of that I have in my notes where it's either Driussi or someone else, Giassi Zardes, just like getting past his first man and everyone else not being able to make a tackle because they were already too close to the box to where making a tackle is
dangerous,
too risky.
Yeah.
And someone has to make a last-ditch effort. And that's actually what led into their second goal was Nerwinski kind of getting turned around. And then who was it that scored the second goal?
Gallagher.
Yeah,
71st minute.
Left-footed finish, beautiful finish.
Yeah. He dribbled in well. I do think that Nerwinski could have done better. I think he was one player, and I mean there were a couple who started the game who really looked like they were lacking fitness towards some key moments in the game. And I think I don't want to blame fitness, but I think he did get turned inside out and was looking a little strapped. Nerwinski was, but
yeah. Well, it was interesting the way that we were playing the press because it seemed as though the offense and midfield were told to press really hard, and then the whole defensive line was very disconnected, and it wasn't really hurting us very much. And our defense looked really solid in the first half until that one moment. In the second half, we were just like 11 behind the ball, 10 behind the ball, and
low
Klaus
block
standing at the halfway, not getting involved in the game at all.
I felt like we were giving him a lot of space on the wings as well. We conceded a lot of corners in that game, which I think is due part into the fact that they were accessing those wide channels and just trying to play balls in as much as they could, getting a couple deflections and getting a few corners. We didn't concede from a set piece. Later into the game, there was a moment of scare. I don't think that was actually a set piece, though. We'll get to that.
But in general, that's like something that I personally love to see is when teams look very confident from a set piece is you can tell they're well coached. Like that's something that normally if a coach gets fired midway through the season, you just like don't see, you'll get scored on a lot from corners or free kicks because people have stuff drilled up and they know exactly what they're doing. You haven't defined your protocols, so to speak, and they have, and you just get beat in moments where not everyone is exactly knowing what they're doing. So I thought that we looked pretty great from set pieces tonight in general. Lewin, in particular, looked great on dead balls, hitting
delivering
free kicks.
Stuff into the box.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a shot in the first half from a free kick that was on target, and the goalie had to save. Into the post.
Two in the first half that he had on target. The first one was kind of straight to the goalie,
right down the middle,
over the wall. The second one though was, that looked like 30 meters out.
He was trying to be cheeky.
Tried to catch the goalie out.
Put it bottom corner and it got saved into the post. So real close.
It was
to
close.
Going in.
Yeah, we got a corner from that, so it's still valuable.
Trade-offs for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we keep on chugging along here. We're down 2-1 at this point. It was looking a little suspicious. It was looking a little scary. I'm not gonna lie.
We were getting dominated 2-1.
We had some okay moments.
Yeah, after it went 2-1, we kind of came back. The burners turned on. We were pressing hard, retaining some possession, and gave the ball away. And the hometown hero, so to speak, Kip Keller.
Shout out the boy. Principia High School for those who want to know.
He was man of the match for me.
Beautiful
St. Louis.
assist. Beautiful assist.
Yeah, beautiful assist to Jared Stroud on that one.
I think those steel grays are almost like an invisibility cloak. He seemed to have disappeared.
Yeah, with Hogwarts Legacy coming out, You never know what people are crafting up.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah,
I mean, is that not the MLS for you just a little bit? Like, that was hand delivered on a silver platter for us to tie it up.
He still had a bit to do. The goalie came out, closed down the angle, and he made him think he was going far post, brought it back near
post.
It was
a good finish.
It was a good finish. He did his job. He didn't celebrate, put his hands up, and he was like, all right, well, that's a gift.
Yep.
And did what he needed to do for us to take the game.
So, yeah, that was definitely a little lucky that Stroud got such a good position on the field from Kip Keller's pass. But, yeah, I mean, we also had that build-up play with Leuven, Nerwinski, or Iuochini and Nerwinski.
In the box where Nerwinski whips one in from the right-hand side, low, driven, and just one touch, Iuochini flicked it with the outside of his right and just laid it up perfectly on the top of the box for Leuven.
Yeah.
Who blasted right at the goalie.
And Iuochini we didn't really talk about the substitutions that Carnell made in the first 15 minutes of the second half. We saw Miguel Perez and Iuochini come on, and I feel like that was a really clean substitution. I felt like we took off Ostrak and we took off Alm, who those two midfielders I felt like weren't producing the most, and I feel like those were the two guys to look at to bring off in the second half.
Yeah. I think Thomas Ostrak might have gotten taken off for his yellow card that he got earlier. He had definitely committed a few more fouls after that, so
makes sense.
I don't know if Carnell was maybe a little scared that he was going to get a second yellow. But, yeah, Alm looked really tired after the second half.
I think it was purely fitness related.
Yeah.
Although,
I mean, we're high pressing. We're running around, and we're up on top of them. So.
And those guys on the wings, they have to do the most running, I think.
And from what we saw from Iuochini, I thought he was great in the moments that he needed to be great, where he almost had an assist to Leuven and later on. But he didn't seem as apt to press as hard when he came on. He looked tired, which doesn't make any sense for someone that's
didn't
coming on
have
in
the
the
fresh
59th
legs
minute.
that we were expecting.
Right.
He was definitely not pressing hard as hard as Rasmus Alm,
which is work rate, and I think that can be adjusted in a player. So I'm still really excited for Iuochini.
Yeah, I thought he was great, and he played a big role in the defining moment of this game, where you had Iuochini receive the ball near midfield and play it in after dribbling at two defenders. Yao running in between the two defenders off the last man. He runs it in, takes one touch past Kip Keller back towards the middle, and then finishes outside Trivella into the bottom left-hand corner to win the game in the 88th minute.
Oh, we went wild here. I mean, it was intense. That was such a great moment. And it was such a clean finish, too.
It was really a classy goal. You love to see that from
the question was the knee injury, because you saw him sub off almost instantly. Was the knee injury from where his knee kind of buckled when he took that touch, or was it from when he subbed off?
Yeah,
not when he subbed off, when he celebrated with the knee slide. The knee slide wasn't as clean as I think he was hoping it would be.
You got to have a clean knee slide if you're going to go in like that.
Yeah.
That Klaus looked great today in the moments that he was able to take chances. It seemed like the service was just not there. There weren't a lot of people in wide areas to whip balls in like you think that he would want it. But look, he got his moment, and he made
and he finished it. He took it. One moment, and he did it. So that feels great.
But he did look great in hold-up play, like attaching the midfield to the attack whenever it needed to happen. And he played great. So, shouts out Jack.
Holding on to the ball when he was the only one up top.
Yeah. Just waiting for that run to happen.
Yeah, it was fouled.
Yeah. And he looks big too, man. Like size him up against
not that big, but he looks really big.
Huge.
He looks giant.
I don't know if he must be hitting the weights. What do you guys think his bench press could be?
He's not hitting leg day. I know that. But he did look giant though compared to some of the center backs.
I think so. Yao Klaus scores. It was the 86th minute. And I think around the 93-40, I think Austin saw the final chance of the game clatter off of the crossbar.
There were a couple times today where Berkey didn't even react.
I mean, if you go back and you watch that cross come in,
Yeah.
you just see a wave of Austin players fly into the 6-yard box, and so it made sense that somebody was going to get ahead on that ball.
They're gonna want that chance back. I think
Definitely.
they're kicking themselves for missing that.
They're
I
hurting
mean,
after
It
that.
went
they
off the
really
bar.
weren't.
We're not
defended.
complaining.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I think they're going to be kicking Kip Keller, but
cutting him from the roster.
St. Louis native, and I'm sure if time comes down the road, if he's looking great, we would love to have him even to this day at St. Louis City. So,
youngster center back,
Yeah.
except for the pass back, he had a pretty good game. But
Yeah.
it's the moment that defines your MLS career. I hope it isn't, right?
All right, so who do you guys think were the most impactful players, both one on offense and one on defense, if you had to pick?
I think the defensive option is easy. I think you can look at Tim Parker. I think you can look at our other center back pairing, whose name I'm blanking on. Hebert. I think you can look at both of these guys and say that they had incredible games, but I just think the impact of Blom overall, that he's the easy defensive player of the game.
See, I would personally go with Tim Parker. Blom had an insane game, but the value of getting that goal, like the weight that it lifted off of everyone's shoulders, and him being the veteran, playing in this league for years, he knew what he was doing, and he got in there and got a goal and settled everything down for us, allowed us to kind of come into the game. I'd have him in our defensive player of the match.
Jonah, for you?
I was going to say Blom, but, Hebert was literally just putting in all of these tackles, these crunching tackles, wasn't afraid to go get the ball. I'm going to give it to him.
So maybe the defensive player isn't as easy as I thought.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you guys would all be going Blom.
Blom played insane, and I think that we all had really high expectations for him. But to see a center back go out there and get our first goal of the season and let us get into the game, as well as Hebert look as great as he did in all of the moments where he needed to be great and tackle.
It's arguable for all three of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Offensive. I think this is the even more difficult one. There was 3 goals. Who are you picking out of the goal scorers to be your offensive player of the game?
I think you just got to give it to Klaus for the moment. It's like season-defining moment right there. Like, coming out in your first game, winning it in the 86th minute with a goal like that, that's such a moment of quality with the outside of your right foot to tuck that into the corner. You just got to give it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Any disagreements?
No, I mean, his hold-up play, letting us get out of our own half, the goal, which was just an amazing goal. I mean, I loved it. That's a classic number 9 goal, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Karim
Benzema,
yeah,
Real Madrid fan over there,
dude. That's what I didn't want to say. I didn't want to bring it up, but he was dropping into the midfield just like Benzema does.
Yeah,
and sometimes I get frustrated that Benzema's not in the box.
Okay, all right, wrap it up over there, Real Madrid boy.
It works. It works sometimes.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to roll with Yao Klaus too, man. I mean, to win the game in the 86th minute with a goal like that. Yeah. All right, well, I guess I was wrong entirely. Defensive was the most difficult decision. Offense was the easiest. All righty.
I think that there were other notable offensive performers. I thought that Giacchini, when he came on, was really creative and really impactful. He laid one off to Lewin, who also had a good game statistically, had a few key passes, had a few interceptions, was all over the pitch doing his job. But a few different moments where specifically in that moment, he was teed up on the edge of the box, and I was really disappointed with his finishing there.
Yeah.
And one really late on in a counterattack. But other than that, he looked great.
Yeah. He gave the ball away a couple times that I thought were some cheap giveaways. He could have done better, but
I think one other offensive player to look at was Stroud in that game. There was that one goal that he had disallowed from a foul on Klaus where he absolutely, I mean, that ball rolled to him and he pearls it with his right foot. I mean, if that goal stood, that is an incredible goal for Stroud. And I mean, I think he could easily be the offensive man of the match.
His finishing did look great today for Stroud, but I think that in a lot of moments when he had the ball at his feet, he got caught just looking at his feet.
Yeah.
Playing too slow.
That's fair.
And was giving the ball back to Austin in our end, which, his work rate is really high. He was pressing extremely hard. I don't think there was anyone in our
he was our best presser for sure. Yeah.
Him and Alm were all over.
Yeah. Yeah, I did like him. He gave the ball up a couple times, like you said, but he was.
I'm sorry for interrupting you guys.
No.
My question was going to be, who do you guys feel like was the most surprising in that game?
It's got to be Blom, right?
I mean, it's got to be.
Or
he wasn't
Hebert.
even.
I
He
think
wasn't
Hebert
even.
could get a shout too, just because we didn't know what we were expecting there really, and he.
Yeah, this is our
turned up.
first real look at the team because all of the preseason games were behind closed doors.
Mhm.
So we saw some City 2 games without the full roster. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know what we were getting with Hebert or with Blom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Blom was maybe kind of the expectation. I think it was more that we just weren't expecting to see him tonight. Because I mean, maybe he comes on in the 70th minute in that group of 2 substitution Carnell made in the second half. But I mean, Indiana Vasilev was chosen to be the starter, and he was probably going to play that game for a while.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
And something else I was surprised by actually was Miguel Perez getting some minutes in the 70th minute.
17-year-old.
Yeah, he's
17-year-old.
He's still in high school.
Pattonville High School.
Apparently,
Shout out.
he goes to school for 2 hours a day, and then he goes and practices with the team.
He looked good. He looked exciting.
Yeah, I'm down
What
for
was I
him.
doing in high school? Not that.
Not playing for the MLS.
Nope.
No.
Be
That's
cool
okay.
though. I mean,
He didn't impress or look bad in any way. I think that it was a pretty middling substitution, but
I'm glad he got some minutes.
yeah, no, absolutely. It's very valuable for a player, and to see that he was first choice, like coming off the bench, that's saying a lot about the type of talent that.
Well,
he
technically, Blom was first choice, but
has. Fair enough.
second choice.
Different positions.
Yeah.
yeah. Let me think of someone surprising. I mean, with Klaus, there were kind of no surprises. I think we kind of expected him to score. I think the Leuven free kick delivery I thought was surprisingly good. I thought the corner that he assisted Tim Parker on was clean. I mean, delivered
Perfect
beautifully.
ball.
He gets 2 free kicks on target. I think we saw at actually the Leverkusen game, the first game at City Park,
Mm-hmm.
we saw him hit a free kick. I think the goalie ended up shoving it over the crossbar. So maybe that was the first look. But I mean, he was looking clean tonight on delivery.
Yeah, definitely.
Surprised by that.
So
I was.
You guys think we're sticking with that same starting lineup? Vasilev for Blom.
Vasilev for Blom for me. I think after watching Blom today, I think he should play every single
he has
game.
To play. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. I kind of want to see what Carnell does because I don't know how dead set in his ways he is about the starting lineup. If you guys had your trials and before the season, that's when it was decided. But I would be hard pressed to see anyone but Blom start in that position just because he played so well, just so press resistant and so capable of getting it out of tight areas. Who do you think that you guys would want a little more from? Like, who do you want to see more from in general?
I would say the right wing position is who I want more from.
Alm.
Alm just I didn't notice him on attack at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he maybe had like 1 or 2 crosses, but
and he had some high pressing moments as well where I think he won a couple tackles that I think ultimately went out for a throw in.
But then you sub on Joachini and you have like the opposite problem. He's creating chances and looking flashy, but he's not doing anything on defense. Yeah. So I just want a little bit more.
That's a balancing issue, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the width was a problem all day. I felt like it was far too direct in the first half. Even though we did end up with a lot of chances, it was the pressing that ended up getting us those chances.
Yeah.
Rather than the decisive attacking play. It seemed a little disconnected from midfielder to midfielder and midfielder to Klaus. And as soon as Gioacchini came on, he came up and was extremely creative and made things happen when they needed to be, happening.
Definitely. Yeah, and actually, to kind of go back to the surprise factor, I think one thing about Berkey that I didn't quite realize was his look to try to release players quickly. I think just about every time in transition when he would look up and see somebody up there, he was sending that ball. He's got a foot
accurately.
on it.
Not accurately, let me say.
But it allows for that, he's paying it to the goalie. The goalie's coming outside of the box to get it. It allows for a pressing moment to at least get onto the goalie.
Yeah.
It's maybe not.
I don't hate it. I think he could maybe tune it a little bit. But If he's
I was
putting that in the
surprised-
corner instead of right down the middle, I'm liking that a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised that we're doing that with Klaus up top because he doesn't seem like the kind of striker that's like beating someone in a foot race. If you have Giacchini running onto that ball, I like that a lot more. Whereas Klaus, I don't see the value. I see value in, just pass it around a little bit and
Find a different
retain
way to
some
get the ball
possession,
to him.
break them down rather than just give the ball right back to them instantly.
Agreed.
But if he has more,
I'm down for him to take a couple of chances like that, but
Yeah.
I agree it shouldn't be
And if-
every opportunity looking up, release it, insta.
yeah, and if Carnell has more confidence in our ability to like hunt them down with our press than he has us breaking them
Building out
down
the back.
from an attacking sense,
Yeah.
by all means, make it happen.
What would you guys like to see at the home opener versus Charlotte / score predictions for that game? What are you
Well,
guys thinking?
I would like to see a victory, of course. That's what I'm leaning towards.
Yeah.
But I think another thing I want to see is the atmosphere. I mean, we got to look at what Austin FC is about. And I mean, those guys packed that supporter section.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys had some really incredible chants going on. I think a lot of Hispanic heritage going on in some of those chants. And it felt soulful. It felt cool. It felt like the whole stadium was getting into it. It was really loud. And I think that atmosphere is something that City SC needs to look at.
Yeah, definitely.
No, absolutely. In terms of team changes, is that more along the lines of what you're asking?
Anything you
I
want
want to see Giacchini start the game. I think that Ulm, while pressing monster, wasn't giving me what I was looking for from kind of a winger, midfielder, like hybrid role. I'd like to see that, and then if we can get Blom to start, that would be great as well. And then a victory, a nice little 3-1 maybe? 3-1 victory.
They did
Maybe we're not
lose.
getting a clean
Did
sheet.
Charlotte win
They
today?
lost to Real Salt Lake.
No, they lost to New England Revolution
New
today,
England Revolution.
1-0. So
1-0.
not starting off their season great. They're on their home opener, losing to what I think is a pretty solid year in, year out MLS staple in the New England Revolution with Bruce Arena over there at coach. Yeah.
Yep.
Our favorite guy, Bruce Arena.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that I would also like to see Giacchini start. I think he can make it for most of the game, and even if he can't, Rasmus Alm with fresh legs against a back line that's been running all game, that's a matchup I like a little bit more than when Alm is starting.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I feel good otherwise. I don't know if there's much more I would change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
we had lots of shots.
Team looked good.
Yeah,
Like,
we
at
had-
the end of the day, team looked good.
We had
And
9
that's what
shots on target, over 2 expected goals. I mean, those are the numbers you like to see. We didn't have
Some
a lot
great
of possession.
statistics.
We only had like 30, 40 possession. But that's okay. We had the shots. So
We had the shots, and we had some goals, and it was an exciting game.
and we won. That's the most important
That's
part.
the huge thing. Shout out Kip
And we're
Keller,
going to see
shout
it
out
again
Jeff
next
Klaus.
Monday at home for the first time in St. Louis. We are going to
Saturday.
get to watch this
Saturday.
team play.
Yep.
Saturday,
Saturday.
7:30. Be there or be square.
Yes, sir. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Soul of the City. Make sure to check us out on YouTube at First Touch Media and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can find us on any major social media platform at First Touch 314. Make sure to tune in next week on Wednesday for the next episode.